The silver rings of Archival Station 7 spun lazily in the void, their gentle rotation maintaining artificial gravity for the thousands of researchers who called the facility home. In her private laboratory, Chief Xenoarchaeologist Zena Ved stared at the holographic projection hovering above her desk, her 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. The artifact she'd recovered from Earth's ruins defied everything she thought she knew about human civilization. "Run the analysis again," she commanded, her scaled fingers dancing across the control interface. The artifact, a small crystalline cube, pulsed with an inner light that shouldn't have been possible after a millennium of dormancy. The humans had vanished suddenly and completely during their war with the harvesters, leaving behind a scattered graveyard of abandoned colonies and broken technology. At least that was what every historical record claimed. But this cube suggested something else entirely. "Analysis complete," announced her lab's eye. "Quantum signature detected. Internal power source active. Data storage capacity, calculating, exceeds known human technological capabilities by approximately 12,000 years." Zena's respiratory frills fluttered in excitement. She'd spent her entire career studying humanity's remains, fascinated by how a relatively young species had managed to advance so quickly before their extinction. But this suggested their disappearance might have been by design. A soft chime announced an incoming communication. Chief Ved. Director Rand's hologram materialized beside her desk, his tentacles writhing with concern. "The Council has reviewed your preliminary findings. They're disturbed by the implications. Director, his cube isn't just advanced. It's active," Zena replied, her voice tight with barely contained excitement. "The power signature is growing stronger. It's responding to our presence." "All the more reason to contain it," Rand countered. "If the humans did survive somehow, they abandoned the galaxy to the harvesters. Billions died in the chaos that followed. They need to answer for." The cube pulsed suddenly, flooding the lab with brilliant blue light. Holographic symbols filled the air, human characters, but unlike any dialect Zena had encountered in her research. They shifted and flowed, rearranging themselves until they formed words in modern galactic standard. "Verification complete. Signal BACON activated." "By the void," Rand whispered, all 4 of his eyes wide with shock. "What have you done?" Before Zena could respond, the cube projected a new message. "AT intulon xenoa or chaolgicaltem. Thank you for your diligence. The great deception is ending. Humanity do is cemented with your civilization." The message was followed by a set of coordinates, pointing to a location deep beneath Earth's surface. "Director," Zena said, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement, "I request permission to lead an expedition to these coordinates." "Denied," Rand snapped. "This is now a matter for the defense fleet. If the humans have been hiding all this time, letting countless species fall to the harvesters. With respect, Director, if they had the technology to fake their own extinction and leave behind devices like this, they could have conquered us at any time." Zena gestured to the cube. "They're choosing to reveal themselves now. Don't you want to know why?" The cube pulsed again, and a new message appeared. "Time remaining. Until harvestconvergence. 30 days. The DC pigeon was necessary. The preparation is complete. Humanity is ready to fulfill its promise." Rand's tentacles writhed in agitation. What promise? What convergence? But Zena was already reviewing historical data on her terminal, her heart's racing as pieces fell into place. "Director, every historical model showed the harvesters should have consumed our entire galaxy within a century of humanity's fall. But they've been moving slower, less efficiently, almost as if something was interfering with them." Rand finished, his color shifting to a pale green of revelation. The cube's final message filled the lab with pulsing light. We did not abandon you. We were preparing. The harvesters believe they huntus. They do not understand. We have hunting them. Coordinates locked, awaiting your arrival. Xena looked at the director, all four of her eyes pleading. After a long moment, he sighed, his tentacles drooping in resignation. Assemble your team, he ordered. But at the first sign of hostile intent, understanding humanity was my life's work. Xena interrupted, already gathering her equipment. All this time, we thought we were studying their extinction. Instead, we were watching their metamorphosis. The cube hummed softly, its light steady now, like a beacon calling them home. Whatever humanity had become during their 1,000-year deception, Xena knew the galaxy would never be the same once their truth was revealed. The descent to Earth's surface was eerily silent. Xena's research vessel, flanked by 2 Defense Fleet escorts, cut through clouds that hadn't seen ships in a millennium. Her team had expanded, now including military observers, quantum physicists, and first contact specialists, all drawn by the impossible signal from humanity's supposedly dead homeworld. Energy readings are off the scale, reported Dr. Krull, his sensor stalks twitching. Whatever's down there, it's been pulling in power for a very long time. The coordinates led them to a vast plain of twisted metal and concrete, the remains of what had once been a major human city. But as they watched, the ground began to shift. Massive sections of Earth moved aside, revealing a complex of gleaming structures that seemed to phase between solid matter and pure energy. By all that flows, whispered Commander Vex of the Defense Fleet. They didn't just survive. They've been building. As their ships landed, Xena noticed something odd about the structures. They weren't just buildings. They seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, like solid quantum probability made manifest. Her scientific mind struggled to process what her eyes were seeing. A figure emerged from the nearest structure. Humanoid, but unlike any human from the historical records. Its skin had a subtle iridescence, and its movements were impossibly fluid, as if it was moving through multiple dimensions at once. "Welcome to New Genesis," the figure said, its voice carrying both warmth and an odd harmonic resonance. "I am Dr. Sarah Chen, Project Director. We've been expecting you." Xena stepped forward, her translator working to keep up with the ancient but somehow evolved human language. "I am Chief Xenorchaeologist Xena Ved. We found your beacon." Sarah smiled, and for a moment her form seemed to blur, existing in several places at once before settling. "Yes, you did. Exactly when you were meant to. Please, come inside. There's much to explain, and time is becoming precious." The interior of the structure defied physics. Spaces opened into other spaces that couldn't possibly fit within the external dimensions. Holographic displays showed data in formats that made Xena's eyes hurt if she looked at them too long. 1,000 years ago, Sarah began, leading them through the impossible architecture. We faced an enemy we couldn't defeat, not as we were. The harvesters weren't just consuming worlds. They were consuming consciousness itself. We realized that fighting them conventionally was pointless. We needed to evolve. They entered a vast chamber that seemed to stretch into infinity. Countless pods lined the walls, each containing what appeared to be a sleeping human. But these bodies were different, more refined, more abstract somehow. While the galaxy thought us extinct, we underwent a great transformation. Sarah continued. "We learned to exist as pure consciousness, free from physical constraints. But unlike the harvesters, we didn't abandon our physical forms entirely. Instead, we learned to exist in both states simultaneously." Commander Vex's weapon hand twitched. "You let billions die while you evolved." Sarah's expression showed genuine pain. "We couldn't save everyone immediately, but we could prepare a way to save everyone eventually. The harvesters consume consciousness, yes, but they do so imperfectly. Every mind they've absorbed still exists within them, trapped, waiting to be freed. The pods began to pulse with soft light, and Xena realized with a start that they were beginning to open. More evolved humans emerged, each moving with that same impossible grace, their forms shifting between solid and ethereal. "We didn't just hide," Sarah explained, her voice taking on a resonance that seemed to vibrate through multiple dimensions. "We became something new, something that could fight the harvesters on their own terms, but without losing our connection to physical reality." Dr. Krell's sensor stalks were practically tied in knots. The energy readings: "You're not just generating power, you're generating consciousness." In a manner of speaking, Sarah smiled. "We learn to exist as a quantum consciousness collective while maintaining our individuality. We can share thoughts, memories, and experiences across vast distances instantly." And more importantly, her form shifted, becoming briefly translucent before solidifying again. "We can affect both physical matter and pure energy at will." A massive holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing the galaxy in perfect detail. Dark shapes moved through the void between stars. The harvesters, their ancient enemy. "They're coming," Sarah said, her voice grave. They sense that something has changed. They believe they're coming to finish what they started. Instead, the display zoomed in on Earth, showing thousands of structures like the one they stood in, all pulsing with power. They're about to face something they've never encountered before, a humanity that has mastered both the physical and consciousness realms. Xena watched in awe as more pods opened, releasing beings that were human in form but cosmic in nature. "What do you need from us?" she asked, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her caution. Sarah turned to her, and for a moment, Xena saw something vast and beautiful behind her eyes, the combined knowledge and experience of 1,000 years of evolution. "We need you to witness," she said simply, "to understand, and when the time comes, to help us welcome back all those the harvesters thought they had consumed forever." The chamber hummed with power as more and more evolved humans awakened. Humanity hadn't just survived their supposed extinction. They had used it as an opportunity to transcend their very nature. And now, after a millennium of preparation, they were ready to reveal themselves to a galaxy that had long thought them dead. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos as Xena's preliminary report was displayed. Representatives from 100 species argued over the implications of humanity's return. The massive holographic displays showed the transformed humans emerging from their hidden facilities across Earth, each demonstration of their new abilities more impossible than the last. "Order," demanded High Counselor Xar, their crystalline form pulsing with authority. "Dr. Chen, you claim these harvesters aren't just destroyers, but collectors." Sarah Chen stood in the center of the chamber, her form occasionally shifting between states as she spoke. The other council members flinched each time it happened, but Xena had grown oddly accustomed to the sight. "The harvesters began as a species much like any other," Sarah explained. "They discovered a way to transcend physical form, becoming pure energy and consciousness. But they made a critical mistake. They severed their connection to physical reality completely." The chamber's displays shifted, showing dark, writhing forms moving between stars. Without an anchor in the physical world, their consciousness began to fragment. They discovered they could temporarily stabilize themselves by absorbing the consciousness of other beings, but it was never enough. The hunger always returned. "And you believe you can stop them?" asked Ambassador Kree, their feathers bristling with skepticism. "They've consumed entire civilizations. What makes humanity different?" Sarah smiled, and for a moment her form split into multiple versions of herself, each slightly different, before merging back together. "Because we didn't abandon our physical forms, we transcended them while maintaining our connection to matter. We exist in both states simultaneously, and that's given us insight into the harvester's true nature." She gestured, and the displays showed a new image, a complex quantum matrix that made Xena's eyes water. Every consciousness the harvesters have absorbed still exists within them, trapped in a state of quantum suspension. They aren't destroyed. They're preserved, waiting to be freed. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. You mean? Tahar's crystalline form trembled. All those civilizations they consumed can be restored, Sarah confirmed. But more than that, we found a way to cure the harvesters themselves, to give them back what they lost when they abandoned their physical forms. Dr. Krull, who had joined the council session as a scientific advisor, extended his sensor stalks in confusion. But the energy requirements for such a thing are exactly what we've spent the last 1,000 years gathering, came a new voice. Another evolved human appeared beside Sarah, an older man whose form seemed to contain galaxies within it. I'm Dr. Marcus Webb, project lead for Operation Restoration. While humanity slept in our quantum pods, we were also building. Every facility on Earth is actually a quantum consciousness processor. Together, they form the largest consciousness transfer network ever created. The displays shifted again, showing Earth surrounded by an intricate web of energy patterns. We didn't just hide from the harvesters, Marcus continued. We studied them. We learned how they absorb consciousness, and more importantly, we learned how to reverse the process. But we needed time to evolve ourselves, time to build the necessary infrastructure, and time to perfect the transfer process. The harvesters are coming, Sarah added, her voice grave. They sense the activation of our quantum network. They think they're coming to consume what they missed 1,000 years ago. Instead, they're walking into a trap millennia in the making. Zena stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overwhelming protocol. But what will happen to them? To the consciousness they've absorbed? Sarah and Marcus exchanged looks. We're going to offer them a choice, Sarah explained. We can give them new physical forms, anchored in reality but still connected to the quantum realm. They can exist as we do, in both states at once, without the endless hunger that drives them. And if they refuse, Commander Vex demanded from his position near the chamber's entrance. Then go free their captives anyway, Marcus said simply. We have the power to do that now. The harvesters can choose to evolve with us, or they can fade away as their stolen consciousness returns to new bodies. The council chamber erupted in discussion again, but Zena barely heard it. She was watching Sarah and Marcus, seeing how their forms shifted and changed, existing in multiple states at once. Humanity hadn't just evolved. They had found a way to transcend the very boundaries between energy and matter, consciousness and form. How long? She asked quietly. How long until they arrive? Sarah turned to her, and for a moment, Zena saw through her human form to the vast consciousness beneath. They're already coming. The first wave will reach Earth in less than 48 hours. That's why we needed to reveal ourselves now, to prepare the galaxy for what comes next. The displays showed massive dark forms moving through space, distorting reality around them as they traveled. The harvesters were coming to finish what they thought they had started 1,000 years ago. Instead, they were about to encounter a humanity that had transformed itself into something entirely new, not their prey, but their salvation. And as Zena watched the council dissolve into arguments about preparation and defense, she realized that the galaxy's transformation was only beginning. Humanity hadn't just found a way to survive. They had discovered a path to transcendence itself. And soon, they would offer that path to everyone, even their ancient enemies. They came like living darkness, vast shapes that bent space around them as they approached Earth. The harvester fleet emerged from quantum space in waves, each vessel a writhing mass of energy barely contained within physical forms. Zena watched from Archival Station 7, her 4 eyes fixed on the tactical displays as humanity prepared to make its stand. Earth had transformed. The hidden facilities had emerged completely now, forming massive crystalline structures that pulsed with quantum energy. Millions of evolved humans stood ready, their forms shifting between states as they powered up the consciousness transfer network that spanned the planet. They're broadcasting, Dr. Krull announced, his sensor stalks rigid with tension. The message from the Harvester fleet filled every communication channel. Lost fragments. UAV Hedian Long. Your coincidio uses an estes. Will join our UNIT. Sarah Chen's response was immediate, her voice carrying an authority that transcended normal space. We are not fragments. We are whole. And we offer you the same. The Harvester ships paused, as if confused by this response. Then they attacked. Beams of dark energy lanced toward Earth, designed to rip consciousness from physical forms. But instead of striking planetary defenses, they encountered something entirely new. The evolved humans moved as one, their forms becoming quantum gates that caught and redirected the Harvester's energy. Earth's crystalline structures blazed with power, and suddenly the space around the planet was filled with shimmering pathways of light, the consciousness transfer network made visible. Now, Sarah commanded, her form splitting into countless versions across multiple dimensions. Show them what we've become. The evolved humans launched their counterattack, but it wasn't weapons they fired. Instead, they projected their consciousness outward through the quantum network, their minds touching the vast darkness of the Harvester fleet. Where their awareness met the void, light bloomed. Amazing, Zena whispered, watching the displays. They're not fighting them. They're connecting with them. The Harvesters recoiled, unused to prey that could reach back into their consciousness. But humanity wasn't trying to destroy them. Instead, they were offering something the Harvesters had forgotten existed, a bridge between energy and matter, a way to exist in both states at once. The Harvester message carried confusion now, and something else, longing. You okafef here, lo etrolies. We offer evolution. Marcus Webb's voice joined Sarah's across the quantum network. We offer an end to the hunger. Look, see what we became while you hunted our echo. The quantum network pulsed, and suddenly every being in the system could see what humanity had achieved. The perfect fusion of consciousness and form, the ability to exist across multiple states of reality while maintaining individuality. It was beautiful and impossible, and absolutely real. The largest Harvester ship moved closer, its dark energy field fluctuating. Within its void-like form, countless absorbed consciousness stirred, awakening to the possibility of freedom. Show us, it commanded. Sarah nodded to Marcus. Initiate the transfer protocol. Begin with the most recently absorbed consciousness. Let them see it can be done. The crystalline structures around Earth blazed with power. The quantum network expanded, forming a direct connection to the Harvester vessel. And then something miraculous happened. From the darkness of the Harvester ship, a stream of light emerged, consciousness returning to physical form. They materialized in specially prepared chambers within the Earth facilities. Beings from a dozen different species, their consciousness restored to new bodies that could exist in both quantum and physical states. Each awakening sent ripples through the quantum network, proving to the watching Harvesters that restoration was possible. But the greatest change came in the Harvesters themselves. As they witnessed the restoration, their very nature began to shift. The hunger that had driven them for eons encountered, for the first time, the possibility of satisfaction. The void within them didn't need to be filled with stolen consciousness. It could be healed, transformed, made whole. One by one, the Harvester ships moved into the quantum network's range. Their dark energy fields began to pulse with new patterns, adopting the resonance that humanity had discovered. They were choosing to evolve. It's working, Zena breathed, watching the tactical displays shift from showing conflict to showing transformation. They're actually choosing to change. Release them, the Harvester command echoed across all frequencies. Release all the we have taken. Show us the way to WHOLENES. Sarah's form stabilized, becoming fully physical for a moment as she smiled. Welcome, she said simply, to the next stage of evolution. The quantum network blazed with unprecedented power as the Great Restoration began. From every harvester ship, streams of consciousness emerged, each returning to a new form that bridged the gap between energy and matter. The very fabric of space seemed to sing with the joy of minds awakening from their long imprisonment. And in the midst of it all, humanity stood as guides and guardians, showing both their ancient enemies and their restored victims how to exist in this new state of being. They had prepared for a war, but achieved something far greater, a transformation that would reshape the very nature of consciousness in the galaxy. 5 years after the Great Restoration, Zenaved stood in the new galactic assembly on Earth, marveling at how much had changed. The chamber itself was a testament to the transformation, a structure that existed simultaneously in physical space and the quantum realm, allowing representatives from all states of being to attend. The evolved humans had kept their promise. Not only had they restored every consciousness the harvesters had absorbed, but they had helped both the victims and their former captors adapt to their new existence. The harvesters, now calling themselves the Unified, had transformed from cosmic predators into mentors, helping others understand the quantum realm they had once used for feeding. Remarkable, isn't it? Sarah Chen appeared beside Zena, her form shifting smoothly between states. Sometimes I still have to remind myself that it all worked. More than worked, Zena replied, watching the chamber fill with representatives from across the galaxy. Some were physical, others pure energy, and many existed in the hybrid state that humanity had pioneered. You didn't just save them, you transformed the very nature of civilization. The assembly chamber hummed with activity as the session began. Marcus Webb, now serving as Earth's representative to the new Galactic Council, took the central position. His form contained hints of starlight as he addressed the gathered species. 5 years ago, he began, we emerged from a millennium of preparation to face what we thought would be our greatest challenge. Instead, we found an opportunity for universal transformation. Today, we take the next step. The chamber's quantum field rippled as a group of the former harvesters joined the session. Their dark energy forms now shimmered with inner light, the hunger that once drove them replaced by a desire to share knowledge. The quantum consciousness network now spans 17% of the galaxy, one of the Unified announced, its voice carrying harmonics of joy that would have been impossible in its previous form. With the new transmission hubs in the Carina sector, we can begin offering transformation to the Outer Rim species. Zena watched as representatives from dozens of worlds stepped forward to request access to the transformation process. Each species would adapt the human breakthrough to their own biology and culture, creating unique expressions of the bridge between matter and energy. Did you ever imagine this? She asked Sarah quietly. When you were planning humanity's evolution, did you see this future? Sarah's form sparkled with amusement. We hoped. We dreamed. But the reality has exceeded even our most optimistic projections. Watch. The center of the chamber illuminated as a new visualization appeared, a real-time map of consciousness across the galaxy. Physical forms glowed with solid light, pure energy beings pulsed with quantum resonance, and the growing number of hybrid beings shone with both frequencies simultaneously. But most beautiful were the connections between them all, bridges of understanding and communication that transcended the old barriers between states of existence. The hunger the harvesters felt, Sarah explained, it wasn't just for consciousness. It was a desperate search for connection, for wholeness. By showing them how to maintain their connection to physical reality, while exploring the quantum realm, we gave them what they were really looking for all along. A group of newly transformed beings entered the chamber, species that had once been bitter enemies, now sharing insights across the quantum network. Their consciousness touched and intertwined, while their physical forms remained distinct, a dance of unity and individuality that would have been impossible before. And now, Marcus announced to the assembly, we are ready to begin the next phase. The quantum network has revealed patterns in the very fabric of reality that suggest the existence of other dimensions of consciousness. With the combined insights of all our forms of existence, we can explore these new frontiers together. The chamber erupted in excitement as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just solved an ancient conflict, they had opened the door to infinite new possibilities for growth and exploration. "We spent 1,000 years preparing to save ourselves," Sarah said, watching the celebrations with a smile. "Instead, we found a way to save everyone, including those we thought were our greatest enemies. And now we all evolve together," Xena finished, understanding at last the full scope of humanity's achievement. The assembly chamber pulsed with the combined consciousness of 1,000 species, each one adding its own unique perspective to the growing symphony of existence. Physical and quantum reality danced together in perfect balance, while new pathways of being opened before them all. Humanity had hidden themselves away, not in fear, but in preparation for this moment. They had transformed themselves not just to survive, but to show all conscious beings a way to transcend their limitations while keeping their essential nature intact. In doing so, they had turned an ending into a beginning, a war into an evolution, and enemies into partners in exploration. As the assembly discussed the next steps in galactic transformation, Xena realized that the true age of discovery was only just beginning. The stars above Earth glowed with new possibilities, singing with the consciousness of beings who had learned to exist in harmony across all states of reality. The future stretched before them, infinite in its potential, awaiting exploration by minds that could now perceive all its depths. Humanity had not just returned, they had brought with them a dawn of universal transcendence, a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself, and this was only the beginning.